what about Chelsea then? Because Football Insider expert Kieran Maguire said that a points deduction is also only fair if Chelsea are breached of FFP regulations. Now, we saw a few years ago their transfer ban. What has to happen for them? What do these two clubs, if of course this does all come to fruition and they do get sanctioned, is it a 20-point fine? Is it instant relegation? How do we solve this generally for the Premier League to uphold reputation?
Well, listen, I mean, they've set a precedence that, like Wayne says, they've bared their teeth now. This isn't going away. You know, we're talking today about Everton. This is as big, if not bigger, than when VAR came into the game. This is going to be disruptive because they've opened a can of worms. You know, they've gone to Everton. They've done Everton for 10 points for one charge. We talked there about Man City over 100. Chelsea, let's bear in mind, haven't been charged yet, but are being investigated, aren't they? And you look at the state of that club, and Todd Bowley's come out and he said, you know, why should we be charged for previous regimes? I mean, you know, under Roman Abramovich, because they will look back at that regime and he feels it's unfair that he shouldn't be dealt a hand.
That is a ridiculous defence from Bowley, isn't it? I mean, they've bought the club. They've bought the club. You know, I think there's a business term, isn't there? Veil of incorporation. You know, if you're the company owner, you represent the company or the board of directors, then you're responsible. So, I mean, that is hilarious. I mean, I think Bowley, with his public comments, he's probably another one you wouldn't want representing your club in front of a sort of a finance commission or independent commission. So whether he would be, I'm not sure. But Chelsea have self-reported themselves, haven't they? And presumably because they want the fine to be reduced as a result. And I think they've offered a £10 million payment as a result of this, but you know, it could be a lot worse. And Lewis, I think just to take your point on how big could the penalty be. I mean, the Premier League have been briefing that it could be up to 30 points. You know, should all charges be proved, and then that's a relegation scenario for Chelsea, not for Man City, but for Chelsea. I mean, then even if you go further than that, you're looking at titles being removed and you know, previous sort of historical successes.
What's your take on that? I don't like that. I mean, there's parts of football history you can't take away. I mean, the immediate thing that springs to mind is the Aguero goal.
Absolutely, that's a magic moment. Yeah,
you can't take that away, can you? I mean, if the club is guilty, you put sanctions on them now. You fine them. You do the points deduction in line with whatever else you've done to other clubs. But when you start going back and how far back do you go? I don't like it. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you're looking 14 years of ownership from Sheikh Mansour. I mean, Man City, you know, legitimately won those titles on the pitch, and I think those punishments should be for the future. And if you're going to if they're found guilty of the charges, absolutely haul them over the coals, whack them with 10, 12, 15 point deduction. But don't take Premier League title off them. That'd be ridiculous.
No, I completely agree with both points. I think my worry too, you know, I'm sure, Paul, you've seen the news as well about Jermaine Defoe with this player agent news going to Spurs. And I think actually for me, my concern is that it's a bit like tit for tat. It now feels that we're going to be pulling up random moves and all these things going on. And actually it's like, where do we have to draw the line? What year are we going to call it? Because actually one club could come out and say, well, in 1993, X move happened. And it's like, well, are we going to sanction that? How does that operate? Because it just becomes this ongoing snowball. So I think the Premier League also has to be quite careful with how they deal with this, because it could just turn into he done it, she done it sort of thing. And then that obviously is quite a big concern.
Are you worried about any of your former transfers, Paul?
Not that I'm aware of. But fingers crossed anyway. But listen, they won't be coming back for me anyway. I'll let too many go with the agent. Back to your point, Lewis. I mean, what you said, where do you go with this? I mean, who's making these accusations? If you pull up enough carpets and look behind enough people's cupboards, you're going to find skeletons. You're going to find history. I mean, football is, you know, for previous years with agents, with sponsors, with different people having input on transfers. I mean, if you all of a sudden have a vendetta with somebody and you fall out with somebody and you know that there was a transfer or it was mismanaged in, I don't know, 1996. What do you do in 2000? Do you go back and you say, look, this happened, that happened? Are the Premier League going to open that case up? I mean, I've no answer to your question. Where does it stop? And where is the line drawn in the sand? Do the Premier League go, look, that's it from now, we go forward? I mean, how far back are they going with Chelsea? 14 years. You look at the Defoe transfer that they're investigating now. I mean, how long ago was that?
I think when you were playing there, I think, wasn't it?
I was playing at that time, yeah. If people sling enough mud for the Premier League to listen, I mean, you know, what are we starting here?
Yeah, absolutely. Wayne, it reminded me that point you said as well about, you know, Todd Boehly and Chelsea coming out. It makes me think, I wonder if they go to court and they'll bring in a cardboard cutout of Roman Abramovich and say he's doing the talking, not us. So overall, I think you've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.